Gents, let's switch gears and focus now on match week 10 of the Premier League season. Let's preview it. One game stands out to me right away, Tottenham Hotspur against Manchester United. I'm going to be lucky enough to be in North London for this game. Really looking forward to this one. Andy, I'm going to come to you straight away because this is a game. Both teams are under pressure a little bit after their defeats last weekend. Man United more so than Tottenham, I think. But is this a game where pragmatism is going to be the key word for both Nuno Espirito Santo and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? And they probably would both take a draw right now if you gave it to them, right?
That's a good question. Yeah, I think they would. I think Spurs would probably be slightly more disappointed being the home side and everything.
Yeah.
I think there's more pressure on Spurs for this one because,
Wow.
I mean, look at where the club is right now, and I'm not just talking about the results that are happening on the field and the way that they'll show up for a couple games, they won't show up for a couple games. It almost feels like this is a crossroads moment for Spurs where if they don't figure something out, and that means managerially, that means what they're doing in the transfer market, that means Harry Kane deciding that he wants to be a fully committed member of the team once again and try to defend set pieces, which he used to be incredibly good at, and now he just lets players jump over him and put the ball into the back of the net. All of these factors, it almost feels like Spurs are in danger of kind of going away. They're not going to get relegated from the Premier League. They're too big. They've got too many resources. But it almost feels like they could just become another one of the middle table teams again after working so hard for a decade to drag themselves into those top four places and get to a Champions League final and try to compete for trophies. It's been 2 full years now since Mauricio Pochettino was fired. We know the Jose Mourinho tenure was not the best. And so it's been 2.5 years since Spurs have been consistent, since Spurs have been reliable, since Spurs have been entertaining and anything redeeming about them. It's been at least 2 years. And so at what point do the results just kind of happen and nobody notices and Tottenham just kind of exist once again? It almost feels like that's the place. And to be fair, that's the place Manchester United found themselves in for a few years as well, in the wilderness. After Sir Alex Ferguson left, Arsenal have found themselves there after Arsene Wenger left as well. And so maybe this is just part of the cycle of you have whether an iconic or just a really memorable and successful manager, and you move on, there's always going to be a lull afterwards. How can Spurs avoid what has happened at Manchester United, specifically the opponent this weekend, and letting that drag on to 2 managers, 3 managers, 4 managers, and riding the ship? I could see both of these teams coming out in this game and absolutely dominating, or just not showing up at all. So it's going to be a fascinating game. Anytime you get 2 teams that are desperate and need a victory the way that these two do, it's either going to be super defensive or they're going to go all out. No really in between.
Yeah, 2 really Jekyll and Hyde teams, aren't they? And I can see Man United in particular, just especially after the mauling they got at the hands of Liverpool, just sitting back deep, trying to defend, and then playing on the counter because they know, like you said, Andy, that Tottenham need a win as well. So they're at home. Son, Kane, Lucas Moura, they're going to play a lot of their attacking players. It's the only way they can really play at the top end of the pitch under Nuno Espirito Santo and try and counter them as well. So I think they're going to cancel each other out a little bit. But yeah, Harry Kane, like you said, his head seems to be elsewhere at the moment. Maybe on that corner kick, he was thinking about what kind of house he's going to buy in the suburbs of Manchester when he does eventually go to City rather than Mark Mikel Antonio. But that's a discussion for another day. Nick Mendola, Manchester United, going into this game, what's the key area for them? Because Ronaldo will probably start. I think they still created a lot of good chances against Liverpool. They missed some big chances. Ronaldo had a goal just disallowed for being a smidgen offside. So you fancy them to score, right? Always. But it's just about the balance. How defensive are they going to be against Tottenham after that horrific defeat against Liverpool?
Yeah, Harry Maguire's going through probably the worst stretch of his career, at least since he's jumped into the national discussion. He's looked bad. And from time to time, he hasn't been good dealing with crosses in the past, right? Maybe that's been his weakness. He looks all around bad. Going back to that giveaway he had, I can't even remember what game it was because he's had so many, but the one that just outside the 18, who picked it off him? You'll know. Yeah. This was just that situation. It might have been Iheanacho, but whatever. He looks bad. I think this is a litmus test weekend for a number of teams. And for Solskjaer bouncing back from a big loss, Don't forget, it wasn't that long ago they lost 6-1 to Spurs. So are they going to show what we all think they have? Because they're winless in 4 Premier League games. It's not good. And there is a very muddled middle going on. What is it, 4 teams or 4 teams within one on the same point, and 6 or 7 teams within 1 point of each other? This is a big moment for them. And as they go through this, I think in committing to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer through the international break, Manchester United has essentially committed its entire season's hopes to these next few weeks and to that man. And that pressure is absolutely massive, because right now, if they lose to Chelsea coming up, if they lose to Man City, if they let Tottenham get 4 points ahead of them, they're not catching those teams. They're not catching those teams for a meaningful position on the table. So do I think the pressure is more on Manchester United? Yes, because I kind of expect them to respond. I think what we're getting from Tottenham is Tottenham. And right now is Tottenham right now. And so I don't want to sound insulting, Andy, but we're seeing a team we saw with Manchester United. You don't know what you're going to see.
You really don't. But I just want to say as well, as bad as it's been for Tottenham and Manchester United, going into this weekend, Tottenham sits in 6th place and Man United in 7th.
Yeah.
And West Ham and Brighton are ahead of them in 4th and 5th. And you think that those teams are going to fall off. So there are some other teams that can surge up the table, of course. But I do think we have to maybe take a step back from the hysteria of Tottenham fans and Man United fans on social media and freaking out, because still worst case scenarios for both of those teams. For United, if they finish 4th, that's still a pretty good season, all things considered. That's just average. And for Tottenham, I'd say if you finish in the top 6 every season, most Tottenham fans would be happy with that, and a good cup run or a good run in Europe. So I think we have to maybe just say, as bad as it has been individually in some games, they have shown up in other games. Like we said, they're that Jekyll and Hyde team, right? You never know what you're going to get. Andy, a final point on Tottenham, Man United. What are the key battles here? Is it Kane against Maguire? Is it, Shaw against some of the right-sided players there for Spurs, whoever plays out there? Maybe, I guess, Son would be drifting out to the left, right, against Wan-Bissaka. Yeah. Some big battles individually, and I feel like Tottenham could get hold of midfield in this one.
Yeah, I think it's Harry Maguire and all of the attacker. I think Spurs are going to run a lot of players into his area and try to make him defend the channels first and foremost, not give up any space in behind. We know that's not the best part of his game. He's not the most mobile there at center back. And then I think they're going to look to combine in and around that space just in front of the center backs, and see if they can pull him out of position as well, because he has gone for the bait every time the last couple of weeks, as Nick was kind of alluding to. Every time somebody tries to trap him or present a situation that doesn't look scary, and he takes a step forward, and then suddenly everybody converges, and it's just a disaster for Maguire back there. I think they're going to look to really, try to make him the focal point of their attack, and I think that says a lot about the Spurs attack right now. Probably that they have to focus in that way on one struggling defender to create chances for themselves, because as good as they were for most of that game against West Ham on the weekend defensively, I thought they were in pretty good control. They just had nothing going forward, and so it's probably going to be more of the same against Manchester United this weekend. It's up to Harry Maguire if Spurs can get a goal.
Wow. My word, what a preview. I will be at Tottenham Manchester United, so over on Pro Soccer Talk on NBCSports.com, I'll have live analysis and reaction from the stadium. We'll have team news, how to watch, previews. We'll keep you covered on that massive game.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch highlights all season long, and be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend at 7 a.m. Eastern. And for even more content, head over to Peacock, where we've got live games, original series, and a dedicated round-the-clock Premier League channel featuring studio shows, classic matches, and much more.